In the grand narrative of professional football, few positions carry the burden, complexity, and expectation of transformation quite like quarterback. The very nature of the role has undergone seismic shifts since the game's earliest days, shaped by the vision and audacity of rare minds capable of redefining the limits of the position. At the heart of this evolution stands one figure regularly referred to as the mastermind who changed quarterbacking forever, Peyton Manning. His name is synonymous with brilliance at the line of scrimmage, total command of the offense, relentless preparation, and a legacy that fundamentally altered how coaches, players, and analysts conceive of leadership under center. Quarterbacking before Manning had long been the province of field generals, men like Johnny Unitas in the 1950s and 60s, Bart Starr, or Joe Montana, who orchestrated their teams with poise and command, yet typically deferred to coaches for the broader strategy. In those earlier eras, quarterbacks were expected to know their playbooks and read defenses, but they rarely had the authority to go off script or to reshape the offense by themselves. As the NFL pivoted further into the modern age, offensive complexity exploded, but even so, most quarterbacks operated within parameters dictated from the sideline or the booth, even the stars, no matter their accuracy or leadership. Peyton Manning arrived in the NFL in 1998 as the top pick of the Indianapolis Colts.
Colts select quarterback, University of Tennessee, Peyton Manning.
Bringing with him a cerebral approach that would soon force the entire league to adapt. Manning's football lineage was strong. His father, Archie, had been a Pro Bowl quarterback, and his younger brother would later win 2 Super Bowls. But it was Peyton's mind that set him apart. From early on, he had a predilection for study, film breakdown, and mastery of the minutiae, an obsession with preparation that bordered on compulsive and set an unprecedented standard for all who followed. The public quickly came to recognize the iconic gestures and shouted signals. Omaha! Omaha!
Them touchdown passes, being Thomas, most of it being Thomas after, but instead, the ball is
that permeated Manning's pre-snap routine. But those calls represented just the surface of a revolution happening beneath. As his teammates and coaches attest, Manning's true innovation was his unrivaled ability to control every variable at the line of scrimmage. He would stand behind center, surveying the defense, diagnosing their intentions with almost surgical precision, and then orchestrate a new play or subtle adjustment without glancing at the sideline for instruction. Every play, every audible, every signal was a chess move, each rooted in hours of study and the unwavering confidence to reshape the moment according to what he saw on the field. Before Manning, offensive coordinators were the masterminds behind sophisticated attack plans. Afterward, the notion emerged that the quarterback himself could and should act as an extension of the coaching staff, an on-field coach, and even, at times, the architect of game-winning drives. As former Colts general manager Bill Polian put it, Peyton changed how a quarterback was playing everywhere in football because he controlled everything at the line of scrimmage. Nowadays in high school, you see kids doing that. Everywhere in college, they're doing it. And that's his legacy. The fact that he was able to control the game by a pre-snap look, play selection, post-snap execution all by himself with just game plan help from the coaches. It was a giant step forward for the position. Manning's revolution was not just about vocabulary or theatricality at the line. It fundamentally altered what coaches demanded of their signal callers. No longer was it enough to memorize the playbook. Quarterbacks after Manning were expected to understand protection schemes, formation leverage, defensive tendencies, and to know every possible option on every play, sometimes switching from a pass to a run, or vice versa, depending on a subtle movement from a linebacker or safety. This expectation, once reserved for the most elite veterans, became the baseline for any quarterback who aspired to control a modern NFL offense. It was a seismic shift that forced coaches at the college and even high school level to give their quarterbacks more autonomy, and it started with Peyton Manning's approach. The ripple effect was immediate and lasting. As the league adjusted, so did the pipeline of talent. Kids growing up watching the Colts and later the Broncos saw Manning orchestrating game-winning drives with his mind as much as his arm. Aspiring quarterbacks began to mimic the gestures and the work ethic in the film room, recognizing that true greatness required both physical ability and total mental commitment. Even defensive players and coaches had to adapt, disguising coverages more elaborately to counteract quarterbacks who could exploit even the slightest tells. The evolution of the position didn't stop there. If Manning established the quarterback as supreme field general, another new wave, epitomized by the likes of Patrick Mahomes, expanded the toolkit with creativity and improvisation. Yet even Mahomes, who regularly stuns audiences with off-platform throws and no-look passes, credits his football intellect and pre-snap reads as an inheritance from the Manning school of preparation and total situational awareness. Mahomes is the physical expression of a new paradigm, but the foundation that allows so many quarterbacks to process at warp speed and then innovate on the fly was set in no small part by the path Manning blazed. The transformation was not limited to the game itself. Manning's innovation affected how quarterbacks were scouted and evaluated. Where previously scouts obsessed over arm strength and footwork, after Manning, intellect, dedication to film, and an aura of command became prerequisites for the truly elite. As one longtime NFL draft analyst put it, after watching Peyton win before the snap week after week, we had to find out who understood defenses, who thrived on preparation, who would wake up at 3 a.m. to rewatch tape just to find a tell. Physical tools didn't mean as much if you couldn't master what Peyton did. By the time Manning retired, having rewritten the record books and won championships in both Indianapolis and Denver, the NFL landscape was indelibly changed. Young quarterbacks entering the league, from Andrew Luck to Russell Wilson and beyond, did so having modeled their approach on Manning's. NFL offenses became more adaptive and quarterback-centric. The best teams gave their commanders as much freedom and as much responsibility as they could handle. Meanwhile, his influence stretched beyond his own career. Peyton's preparation and acumen inspired a new crop of quarterback gurus and private coaches, many of whom had tailored their systems to develop the cognitive side of quarterbacking. Cam Newton, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and other stars of the new generation are praised as much for their ability to manipulate defenses with their eyes and brains as for their mobility or arm talent. In that way, Manning's legacy is equally profound among the improvisational, mobile stars of today. The confidence to freelance, retool a play, and take command mid-snap is itself the product of a system where quarterbacks are trusted with more control, not less. It's also important to acknowledge that Manning stood on the shoulders of giants. Legends like Johnny Unitas and Joe Montana played pivotal roles in the continual elevation of quarterback play, Unitas inventing the 2-minute drill and Montana embodying poise and precision in the West Coast offense. Joe Montana's mastery of Bill Walsh's West Coast offense and Unitas's quick, sudden strikes helped define their generations. But no one before Manning fused preparation, command, and improvisational freedom together so completely, or, most importantly, made them all prerequisites for his successors. The data speaks for itself. Manning finished with 5 league MVPs, 2 Super Bowls, more than 71,000 passing yards, and countless comeback victories, accomplishments built not only on talent, but on reshaping how every snap was managed and executed. He left the NFL as its most prolific passer, but perhaps more crucially, as the architect of the modern quarterback psyche, the relentless analyst, cool under duress, capable of manipulating every aspect of the game before the ball is even snapped. Off the field, his reputation was cemented as a leader, mentor, and ambassador for the game. Manning's influence is visible in coaching clinics, quarterback camps, and the ongoing conversations among young players about study habits, leadership, and mental toughness. Across multiple levels of football, coaches began demanding more, mentally and emotionally, than ever before, pushing their young passers to become not just players but masterminds themselves. If you watch today's NFL, you see Peyton Manning's fingerprints everywhere. When a young quarterback changes the play and then throws a touchdown, when a veteran manipulates the defense with his eyes and hands, or when analysts break down audibles on Sunday broadcasts, the shadow of Manning's innovation looms large. He didn't merely win games or break records. He raised expectations for every quarterback that came after, turning the position from a role into a vocation, from mere execution into mindful artistry. In the end, the mastermind who changed quarterbacking forever is not just remembered for his statistics or his titles, but for transforming what greatness at the position truly means. He turned the NFL quarterback from a mere executor of orders into a true field general and architect, capable of dictating terms to the defense, commanding the respect and attention of every player, coach, and fan in the stadium. The playbook, once the sacred domain of coaches, became his to reinterpret, and with that freedom, the very future of football was rewritten. That is Peyton Manning's enduring legacy, a standard that, even in an era of dazzling athleticism and innovation, remains the gold measure for quarterbacking excellence.